Ya. Muy buenos días a todos. Ahora sí, Peter. Ya. Muy buenos días a todos en Bolivia, en Cuba, en Chile y bueno, aquí en Europa, en Alemania y en España, los que nos están viendo a través de YouTube, el canal del Instituto de Arquitectura de la TU Berlín, o aquí en directo desde el Google Meet. Vamos a esperar un par de minutos todavía, porque todavía está entrando gente. Y mi colega Ruben va a dar la bienvenida en inglés. Ruben?
Yes. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our third session. We are very glad to be ready to share with you our 3 panels. Today, 2 of them, and tomorrow 1. And I hope you will enjoy. Please, if you are following us from the YouTube live, from the Institute of Architecture, please leave there your questions. At the end of the presentation of our guests, we always will comment to them, we will share, and you have the opportunity to get them answered. Thank you very much for being here. I hope you enjoy.
Ya, y para los que nos están viendo en castellano también pueden hacer preguntas en español, lo pueden poner en el chat aquí o en el chat del YouTube. Ja, warten wir noch ein paar Minuten oder sollen wir anfangen?
Anfangen.
Ok. Para la información, nosotros no vamos a presentar a Alejandro, sino que Alejandro se va a presentar a sí mismo, que yo creo que es algo que no hemos hecho hasta el minuto. Así es que estamos ahí expectantes. Ruben?
Sí. We are going not to introduce our guest. In the sessions before arranging this presentation, we agreed with our guest that he would like to present himself. So we thought it's an interesting way. So Alejandro, you can start whenever you want.
I will put my clock here to try to get in the time. So thanks, everybody. I understand it's a big, huge organization behind all this program. So I will not give just say hello to everybody because it will be very long, no? I'm very proud to be here sharing my thoughts with you. I find very interesting the program, what I have learned about it, with the information I have gotten. So I will try to put a little grain of sand here to make a big castle, no? I didn't want it to have any presentation because I think that many times these presentations are talking about the curriculum, about the lecturer, and I think it's not interesting that for the lecture. I don't want to feel like I'm very good. I have done very good things and things like that. I think it's that a wrong thing that's happening in our discipline. So I just want to say a few things about me. That I'm an architect. Maybe that's obvious, but it's good to say. And I'm also an amateur entomologist. That doesn't have nothing to do with the lecture, but it's important for me. I spent half of my time working in the school, in teaching and having some kind of research. And the other half of my time, I spent it in my office. And my office of architecture is dedicated to small projects, mainly, not because I don't want to do big projects, but it's difficult to get in big projects. And also, you have to have a very good or big office, and I don't want to manage many people working for me. So I'm very good in working in small projects with few people. No? And I have 15 years of experience in teaching and in designing architecture. I want to give a special, ¿cómo se dice salud? a hello to Lorena Valdivia, that's in the organization of this program. I met her many years ago, maybe in 1997 or 1998, in the School of Architecture. She was finishing the school, I was beginning the school, and we had the pleasure to be part of Alejandro Aravena's assistants. We were sharing that position in the school, so it was a very big opportunity for me to know her. And afterwards, I think that we got friends also because we were sharing some thoughts about culture and some punk music too. And finally, I could help in some little products in Lorena's final project in the school. I think I made a model, no? I don't remember what, but I knew Lorena's atelier and helped her in that final part. And I think it's very important to talk about these things because these are the moments when you are like connecting things, no? Like 20 years ago, maybe, or a little more. We were doing things, and now that's the reason why we are talking again together. So thank you a lot. Para la gente que habla español, entiendo que hay personas que están viendo esto desde Cuba, desde otros países de Latinoamérica, ojalá alguien también desde Chile. Les mando a todos un saludo. Lamento mucho que todavía Cuba siga sufriendo estos problemas producidos por Estados Unidos, etcétera. Me parece ridículo que a estas alturas de la historia todavía existan ese tipo de represiones. Así que mi apoyo en ese sentido me parece que también es necesario de entregarlo. Y lamento que la charla es en inglés, así que en adelante haré la charla en inglés. No sé si el protocolo nos permitirá al final de la charla que podamos hablar en castellano, si es que es necesario. O alguno de ustedes no maneja el inglés, por favor, siéntanse libres de hacerlos parte de la gracia de este tipo de eventos. About the lecture, I want to share a citing exercise done through the last 10 years when, after being taught in the School of Architecture about history of architecture, I started to be impressed by other architectures that were not of strong male minds and had no cool story behind them. That is like popular architecture. This is not a lecture, that is a result of a scientific research, in that case. I think that it's a relaxed aesthetical analysis, and this doesn't mean that other approaches to the topic are less important, but this will be my approach, just aesthetical. You usually see in this kind of architectures, facades, exterior rooms, is what you can see in the street, no? Sometimes you can have the experience of entering these spaces and have a more complete view of what's the architectural problem that's behind that facade that you see from the street, no? And I hope that if we took this topic again in some moment, I could accompany the images I'm going to show you also with drawing sections or plans. But unfortunately, I didn't have time to make that products because that's a big job, no? Many of the cases that I'm going to show you about popular architecture were reached up while driving, no? Just going around the city, having some interesting view, stopping the car, taking a photograph with the telephone or stuff like that, no? The result of this approach, of these things that I have seen, is like an image atlas, no? It has not more information than the images that I got from these cases. So I would like, it's like sharing in some way my holidays photo album with you. That's what it's going to do in the first part of the presentation. Okay, so I'm going to put this here, window, the presentation. You can see it okay?
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay. So the lecture is going to be called Popular Architecture. just wanted to review where talking right now. From where are we talking right now? You can see here the Peters projection map. Maybe you know this map, that is very interesting. I am in the bottom here in South America, people listening mainly from Cuba, and the right point up is on Berlin now. So, well, I've tried preparing this lecture to theorize a little bit about this sort of natural phenomena that is the popular architecture. Words and meanings can have blurred boundaries, so they can share properties, maybe the different meanings of architecture that I'm going to use, or even these meanings can fit in more than one case. No? So some cases that I'm going to show you maybe can fit with different meanings of architecture that I'm going to develop right now. Nevertheless, I would like to ask myself if it's important to have or not a precise meaning of something, no? Because I'm going to make an exercise of what kind of architecture I have seen in this popular architecture, but I'm not sure that it's necessary to make this kind of meanings, no? Because I think that it's stronger in this approach, the feeling that you have when you see this different kind of architecture that we are not in the university used to see at all. I realized that the topic of your research was quite similar to mine. I'm talking about collective intelligences. It's similar to popular architecture. That is what I'm going to talk right now. And popular architecture, nevertheless, is not my topic. I have wrote a book that is called Popular Architecture. I'm going to explain you afterwards that is not about popular architecture. So I took this lecture as a challenge to try to find a meaning of what I understand about being popular architecture. Okay. I have this definition of or meaning of collective intelligences that I have been given by Lorena. And there are some points that I agree with this meaning, or that I think that are similar or close to the meaning of popular architecture, like being a traditional craft, that like using crossbreed techniques, like being self-made, like being an open source intelligence, and also being self-experimentation. I think that special concepts are inside of my concept of popular architecture too. I would like also to add that I think we agree, all of us that are being here, that it's not considered popular architecture or collective intelligences available in professional context. No? Usually in the academy, in the universities, nobody takes too much care about this kind of expression of architecture. And I also agree that it's a great example of human creativity, no? That we're going to see, because many of this popular architecture is done by people that are not architects, no? So that's a big challenge for them to be creating architecture without being an architect. Okay, the presentation, we have two parts. One, I'm going to explain more or less what I understand by popular architecture. And in the second part, I'm going to show you some of my work, and you will understand why I'm going to show it after I end this part. Okay, so we have here some related concepts to collective intelligences. I mean, popular architecture, that is my topic, is close, is similar to collective intelligences. But there are other concepts also in architecture that I think that are quite similar, and maybe you can make some difference between them, and it will be good to make this work of having the meaning of each of these concepts, to understand what are they included or not, what makes them an independent concept or not a repetition of a concept. No, I think that probably the most close concept to collective intelligences and to popular architecture is vernacular architecture. No, vernacular architecture. That is the. I'm not going to go further with the meaning, but I think that vernacular architecture should be something that is gets inside of the culture of the people, but being repeating many times in the years. No, so popular architecture can be an expression of architecture that it has something of vernacular because it's raised up from the people, but it's an exercise that had been done with a few time and few past. I think that it's not turning to vernacular architecture yet. No, so popular architecture or collective intelligence for me can turn to be a vernacular architecture. It has been working for many years now, and the culture keep it inside of them, of the people. Okay, another kind of concept that is similar to this other concept that I will be playing with is low-tech architecture. Why? Because many of these expressions of popular architecture are done with low technologies, no? Because the low technologies are closer to the people. So everybody can use a low technology because you don't know to have a big knowledge about it to work with, no? But there are very sophisticated architecture too, and very not popular that could be done with low-tech architecture. That's why I make a difference between these two concepts. Very close to low-tech architecture is low-cost architecture. And why low-cost architecture is a different concept than a low-tech architecture, because you can do a low-cost architecture without with high-tech architecture. No, high-tech architecture doesn't necessarily means to be with high cost. Usually it is, no. But for example, I always like to make this example of Theo Jansen works, no? These animals that are walking with the wind. I think that's high technology, no? But done with very simple materials, no? And that is low tech, low cost. With high tech, no? That's why low cost architecture, I think, is a different concept than low tech. And then I'm not sure, because I am not a theoretician, that probably the last three terms maybe can mix a little bit between them. No, precarious architecture, that is the architecture that's done with the less elements possible that probably can fall and be useful a few times. Then is minimal architecture, also that is done with a few elements, but can be very costly and can be for very few people, etc. And primitive architecture, that I think that primitive architecture, what I was thinking about this concept, is usually related to altered mix and things done in the past. I'm not sure that today you can do primitive architecture, really. I think that some architects said that they do primitive architecture, but I'm not sure that they really do it like that. These are some examples, and we'll start in this moment showing this image atlas of what I understand of what is popular architecture. This is a very interesting little town raised by the people without permission and very fast, that here is called Toma. I don't know what's the word in English, but something when you get to a site that is without nothing, with many people, and you build your houses very fast. That's a usual phenomenon here in Latin America. We have still in Chile that kind of phenomenon, and I guess that in other countries of Latin America that also happens. Probably in Europe it doesn't happen. It's kind of things so are very interesting. And this is in the north, just in front of the beach. Is interesting also that it's a town that's like a second house town. It's just for summer, no? It's not a town where people live. So when I took this photograph, I went on winter, and you can see that there's nobody, no, and all the houses are closed because of that reason. This is, I think, a good image of what I understand as popular architecture. In vernacular architecture, this is also close to the other town I have shown. It's in the north of Chile, where it's very dry. You can see this side on the left or the right, there's no vegetation. Vernacular architecture, I think, is when you get many things, elements from the site, no? For example, this kind of sand that is building these panels, and also these little shells that are, I don't know if they are for a building constructive reason or it's just decoration, no? But that is what I think, or how I understand better vernacular architecture. Low-tech architecture, this is in Santiago, the main capital of Santiago, of Chile. This can fit in other meaning concepts of architecture, but I put it here, this photograph, because of the technique now that you're using to build this kind of roof. Now you just put a mesh, you cut it, you put some sensors, and that's enough to resolve the problem, in this case, of having a shadow, no, and not getting so hot in this building. This is a low-cost architecture. Why I think it's low-cost architecture? Because you can see that there must be an architect behind this design. I don't know who is. I'm sorry. I just saw it in